In my experience of working at a music store with all of these boutique pedals, being a gear nerd for just a long time, and just have played a lot of these pedals on the market, I just decided to put together this video of 5 pedals that I think are the best in their selective categories and will give you a versatile range of the desired effect. I've also gotten so many requests to do a video like this, so here we are. Now, this is obviously subjective, but I believe most people would be very happy with these over other options. Now, before someone says, oh, these are just pedals that he owns, like, why he would obviously pick them. I have played, honestly, God knows how many pedals, because that was literally part of my job working at a music store. I demoed every single new pedal, all the pedals that we owned for social media. And I just picked the ones I loved the most and I thought was worth it. I'm mainly just gonna talk about my pedal picks. I'll tell you who I think each pedal would be mainly for, and then obviously I will give you some sound demos. I do have full demos and reviews for a couple of these, but for the other ones I will be posting full demo and reviews soon, so subscribe to see that. Let's now get into my first pedal pick. So this pedal in my hands right now is by far one of my favorite pedals that I've ever bought. I was completely suckered in by this brand's social media release for this pedal. The marketing was great, it sounds great, it's a cool idea, and it is the Chroma console. Hologram Electronics has some of the coolest pedals on the market, and when they released this, everyone in my guitar circle, everyone that I worked with, this is all they were really talking about. This thing is so intuitive, I can't even talk about it all in this video, and I did do a full demo and review of it. You can check that out in the description. It has overdrive, it has compression, it has fuzz. It's got tons of modulation, doubler, vibrato, phaser, tremolo, pitch. Tons of other wet effects like cascade and reels, which is sort of like delay, tape delay, echo, space, reverb, collage, and reverse, which is like wacky and unpredictable delay and sounds. It's so fun. And then it has texture, filter, squash, cassette, broken interference. It is so fun. I have not stopped playing this since I bought it. When people see this on my board, they always ask me, yo, I've always wanted that, like, how is it? Tell me about it. Like, they're so interested in it. Now, it is pretty pricey. It is $400, but if you think about it in the way where you're getting all of these effects that they all work and sound insanely well for that price, it's really not that bad. There's 4 modules. You can combine them in any way you want. You can put the reverb first before the fuzz. You can put the phaser before the fuzz or after the fuzz. You can literally experiment and tweak this any way you like. It also looks really cool. These knobs give you so many different variations of these effects. You can save presets. It has a tap tempo. You can even loop. If you love psychedelic rock, indie pop, anything really indie, like Tame Impala, the Black Keys, like that 2010s rock sound, this will give you that. But it also gives you that like modern, like bedroom pop sound as well. Now, since it's been almost a year of this release, you can probably get them a little cheaper used on Reverb or whatever. It has MIDI in and out, so you can run it stereo. And one of my favorite features of this, let's say I have like vibrato and reels on, which is like a delay sort of thing. You can do this thing called gesture, where you tap these 2 buttons and then you can move these knobs in real time. You hit these buttons again, and when you play, it will include that knob movement in your sound. Now, sometimes when you have a delay on and you strum a chord and then you tweak it, you hear like, it can do that in real time, so you don't have to do this while playing. It'll automatically do it. Such a cool feature. So this pedal is really for any indie boy, indie pop boy, psychedelic rock lover, or you just love vintage recording sounds. You cannot go wrong with the Hologram Electronics Chroma console. All right, now moving on to one of my favorite effects that my friends always make fun of me for using too much of, reverb. And the golden reverberator from Universal Audio in particular. I really like these series of pedals that Universal Audio does. I know they have like amp sims now. They also have like delay modulations, I think. But this was one of the first ones that they came out with. It's basically every single popular reverb that you've heard a million times on tons of songs and records that was really used a lot in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, and each of the reverbs within this are all inspired by them. So if you love just simple reverbs, this is 1000% for you. So it has Spring 65, Plate 140, which is used in tons of records, and Hall 224. Also done a full demo and review of this. I did that years ago, so go check that out. Now, once you buy it, you can like plug it into the computer, and Universal Audio gives you an extra reverb, and it's just chamber, which also sounds really great. So you have 4 total reverbs that you can use. The Spring is one of the most realistic spring reverb sounds I have heard in a pedal like this. It's got a decay, pre-delay, and mix knob at the top, and then a bass, treble, and modulation knob at the bottom. The modulation can add some really cool texture and additional flair to the reverb. And as for the bass and treble, I love having an EQ for your reverb. That's sort of how you get away from that muddiness that it can cause if you're doing something really, really ambient. Now, speaking of ambient, this gives you that ambient soundscape thing, and when you bring up that modulation knob, forget about it. You're gonna be lost for days, and that's all you're gonna be doing. Now there's a few downfalls to it. You can really only save one preset. It is kind of clunky, and that's sort of the only negative thing I can really say about it. Oh, and also I forgot, for each reverb you also have 3 different types for each. So I think like when you're on the hall setting, A is like room, B is like either a bigger room or whatever, and then C is like a hall or whatever else. Same thing for spring. 3 different options, chamber, plate. So you sort of get a versatile range in each different type of reverb. So this pedal is for someone who doesn't have reverb in their amp, someone who loves classic reverb sounds that can give you that hall arena reverb sound, a classic spring reverb that can sound very deserty. It gives you that drip too, which I love. And you don't want something that does a million different tricks and all that. So if you like simple and classic reverbs, the Golden Reverberator from Universal Audio is for you. I don't know why I turned British, but it did. All right, moving on to my third pedal pick and the most dirty one that I own because I've used it for a long time and owned it for a long time. Also inspired by vintage recording gear, the Strymon Deco. Now this is the first version of it. There is a V2 now. I would probably get that one over this, but it's sort of the same thing. But you still can't go wrong with this one if you're looking to save some money because it's definitely a lot cheaper now. Inspired by vintage tape machines, it gives you tape saturation, it gives you compression, it gives you overdrive, it can give you that double tracking effect, it has tape delay, chorus, you can control wobble that gives you like a little bit more extra of those effects. You have different types, you have sum, invert, and bounce that changes how each effect responds to your playing. It's a really great add-on for your pedal board that can handle a lot of different things and help give you an even greater sound. You can use it for a million things, but if you're anything like me, you'll probably pick your favorite like 1 to 3 things on it and mainly use it for that. For a while, I was using this thing as my overdrive. I love tape saturation. I love that extra tape saturation overdrive it gives my tone, especially through my Marshall style amp. I've used it as a boost. I've used it for that double tracking sound and like that really quick tape delay for like that country twang blues licks. It sounds great for that. I've also done a full demo and review of this. If you're gonna go check that out, also in the description. So this can be for literally any type of guitar player. If you're a country player, a blues player, this is a definite. If you are a just classic rock player, also a definite. It can be great for that indie rock sound, indie pop stuff as well. So a pedal that should definitely be on your radar if it hasn't been already. The Strymon Deco. And remember, this is version 1. They have a V2 out now, so probably go check that out. All right, now moving on to the most clear and crisp pedal that I've ever used that makes all my other pedals sound great. It makes my amp sound so much better. We have the Boost of the Dead from Farm Pedals. Now this pedal is inspired by a few of Jerry Garcia's rigs. Each foot switch sort of gives one of Jerry Garcia's like iconic sort of sound. It has this, which is, you can kind of think about it as like a treble boost switch. But this thing is one of the best pedals that I've ever owned. It's probably one of my favorites. Now unfortunately, I dropped this from a very far height and it doesn't work at the moment. Now this is actually V3. They've made 2 other ones as well. Now it's not only just a boost pedal. You can use this as a drive, overdrive pedal. It can get fuzzy depending on what amp you're using, but when you flip this switch, it gives you the clearest, most crisp sound and tone that I've heard. Now I would consider this a leave it on pedal, a pedal that you never turn off on your board. Feels better to play. It enhances your tone so much. Genuinely, you need to check this out. I've also done a full demo and review of this pedal, so go check it out. So who this pedal is for is if you want much more tonal clarity with your pedal board and amp, or if you love Jerry Garcia's famous rigs, or if you like sort of a almost fuzz and overdrive sound, then the Boost of the Dead V3 from Farm Pedals is for you. Now, a more recent addition to my pedal board is Brown Amplification Gritador. Now, I'll be honest, I was never really a big fan of the tube screamer sound, and I know this is such a weird conversation in the guitar tone world. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people, they don't have any opinion about it at all. Now, I've also heard a lot of people say that the tube screamer sound, as good as it can be, it can sometimes sound very nasally, and there's that aspect to things which I totally understand. But Brown Amplification not only recreated the iconic tube screamer sound, they almost perfected it. I know that's a big thing to say. It gives you more clarity in the TS world. Gives you a great distortion and overdrive sound, and honestly, when I paired this with my Marshall style amp, I loved it. Since I've gotten this thing, I've used it for all of my heavier tones. I've even dialed back my Marshall amp a little bit for this. I will do a full demo and review of this for sure, but this can be used for a million different things, and if you're not a big fan of the tube screamer sound for a lot of understandable reasons, this one from Brown Amplification might change your mind on that. Brown Amplification has been on my radar for a little while. I'm so excited that I have this now. You're definitely in safe hands with Brown Amplification, so if you were never into a tube screamer sound, like I said, this might change your mind. So, the Gritador from Brown Amplification. I hope this video was helpful to you in whatever way. Let me know down in the comments which pedal you love, you can't get enough of, and you think a lot of people could get a really great use out of it. You think it's versatile enough, you think it sounds great, you think it's worth the money, let me know. I know that none of these have ever let me down, and I have not once thought to get rid of any of those 5 that I just talked about. Now, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and check out other gear or pedal videos that I've done. I've done so many in the past couple of years. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you in the next video.